pork chili verde. If you've had it, you love it. If you haven't had it, you're gonna love it. So why haven't you made it yet? I don't know. It's pretty easy. So why don't I show you how to do this, and then you'll know how and be able to make it yourself. Let's get started. The most important part of a green sauce is the tomatillos. The verde sauce requires tomatillos. They are delicious. They're amazing. They're a little citrusy. They look like a tomato, but they're more of a pepper. You can eat about 7 or 8 of them depending on the size. I got 7 of them here because I was able to get a couple of good size ones. Now you have 2 poblanos, 2 anaheims, and 2 jalapenos. Those are pretty good size jalapenos. You got half a large onion and about 5 cloves of garlic. This is all going to have to get roasted off. The easiest way to do it, if you have this much stuff, really honestly, is the grill. You can do it under the broiler. You'll have to turn everything. It's probably easiest to split the peppers in half. That way you don't have to turn them. But the tomatillos, they need to be cooked. You don't want to put them in raw. So you need to soften them, basically. They don't need to be skinned, but the peppers will need to be skinned because the skin's not really terribly edible. And the onion, who doesn't love grilled onion? The garlic, roasted garlic is delicious. So that's why we put that on the grill as well. When they're ready and the skin is blistered, there you go. The tomatillos should be starting to squish, turn flat, and bubbling. If they're not bubbling, just leave them a little bit longer, but that's what it looks like when they're done. Pull them off. We're going to cover this in foil. It's going to sit on the counter for about 20 to 30 minutes. Longer isn't really a problem, but you want to be able to let them steam so that you can get all of the skin off easily. Now, after they've sat, get yourself a comfortable workplace because you're going to be here for a minute. Poblanos are a little difficult to get the skins off, as are jalapenos. The anaheims, you just tear the skin and the whole thing just slides right off. It's really, really easy. Those are fun. But the poblanos add so much flavor to this. They're a key element. You really have to have them in there. So we put the work in to get the results out. Jalapenos will add that wonderful, just a little bit of heat. They're not too spicy, but they're good. Take off all the skins, keep working, put your peppers over to the side. You want to do all this. You do not need to do anything to the tomatillos, okay? The tomatillos are good to go at this point. You've roasted them, they're flat and soft. All they do is they go straight in the blender. There you go. Don't try and take the skin off. It won't come off. It's a mess. They go in whole, everything. Perfect. That's easy. Garlic, take the parchment off. Pop your garlic in there. That's easy peasy. Delicious. Roasted garlic adds a wonderful flavor to this. If you don't like garlic, you could always leave it out, but I suggest using the garlic. I mean, it's delicious. And this roasted garlic is really good. Seriously, if you don't like garlic, have you tried roasted garlic? I don't know. Anyways. So you need to take the seeds out of your peppers before they go in. Seeds are not edible, so just split them open and slide the seeds out. It's not about a heat thing. None of these peppers are particularly hot. It's a matter of the fact that the seeds are not edible. They will not break down in the blender, and when you're eating your food later and you get seeds, it sucks. So take a minute, take the seeds out. Do not rinse your peppers. Never ever rinse a pepper. All that flavor, all that sliminess, all that gooiness, that is flavor. Don't wash flavor away. The jalapenos are a little bit hotter, but again, it's not really about heat. There's so much other stuff in here. This is not a spicy sauce. This is just about the fact that seeds really aren't edible on this sort of thing. All right, just put everything in your blender once you get it all ready to go. And the last thing you're going to need is your onion. Take the top off, any bits of the onion that aren't going to be terribly edible. You don't need to worry about size too much because it's going in the blender. Just big chunks is fine. And make sure that you're only putting the edible parts of the onion in. If there's anything that doesn't seem like it's going to be good, don't eat it. Cilantro. Big, huge handful of cilantro. So take the bushel and basically cut it up and stick it in there. Now, juice of 1 lime. The tomatillos have a bit of a citrusy flavor, a very fresh flavor to it. So you don't need a ton of lime juice, but a little bit is good for this. Plus it keeps it from oxidizing, which is nice. I haven't put any salt in this because we're cooking this with pork. The pork is seasoned. The final product will get salted. At this point, the sauce doesn't get salt because you'll adjust it towards the end. This is just about making the sauce, and then you're going to cook the pork in the sauce. So if you were doing this as a salsa or something else, of course you'd be seasoning this part, but we're not. So this is a little bit different. Just make sure it's well mixed. It might take a minute. You got a lot of big things in here, and even a good blender is going to have a hard time. Pork. This is a 3-pound pork shoulder blade roast. This is boneless, and I'm just basically chopping it down into chunks that I'm going to brown off in my cast iron Dutch oven. The seasoning here is just a blackening seasoning. It's heavy in chili powders and pepper, black pepper, a little bit of salt. This is going to give a wonderful flavor to the meat, and this is where a lot of the salt and everything else is going to come from. So make sure you coat all the sides. Put this in a hot big cast iron pan. You can do this in a slow cooker too if you want to, but you're not going to get the same browning off of this. So if you can brown the pork before it goes in the slow cooker, you're going to get a ton more flavor. In this case, I'm just going to cook it in this the whole way, so all the flavors are going to stay in here. Now, when you put it in, it better sizzle and crackle, otherwise you didn't get your pan hot enough. A little bit of oil, arrange them so that you got one even layer in there. It's perfect. You're going to need to just let them sit for a minute. I've sped this up quite a bit because you don't have all day, but it's just cooking pork. You want those beautiful brown bits. That's the Maillard effect. When meat turns brown like that, it releases incredible flavors. It puts a fond on the bottom of the pan. It builds the sauce. It does everything. It's amazing. Cook all sides until you get that wonderfulness everywhere, all sides equally. And just keep doing that until you have everything basically browned. You're not trying to cook this. This is going to take a good 4 or 5 hours to cook. So you're just getting that browning at this point. You can see the pan starting to get browned. Perfect. Now put half of your sauce in. Only half. Save the other half. The other half's going to go in the fridge, and we're going to use it at the end. Right now you put the first half in, cook this down, bring this back up to a boil, basically get it bubbling and stewing. Once it gets there, you're going to need to add some chicken stock to it. Now, how much depends on your pan, your pork, all that kind of stuff. I used a little over 2.5 cups for this. You don't need to completely submerge the pork, but you want to get most of the pork probably floating. That is about perfect. Now mix it around, get your sauce mixed into it, and this is going to sit for a very, very long time. It's going to take quite some time until you've got this cooked down. You come back about every half hour, 45 minutes, turn the pork over, and you're going to do that for about 3.5, 4 hours if you do it on the stove like this. Once it comes to a boil, you are ready to put the lid on it and let it sit again. Come back every 45 minutes, something like that. Stir the pork, give them a flip, make sure they're cooking evenly. This is what it's going to be looking like when you're checking on it a little bit later. Keep that lid on it and you're good to go. Unfortunately, there was a small incident with the camera. The next step of this process was lost. It's okay, it's easy. This is the part where you Basically, the last half hour, you put the remaining sauce over the top of this, stir it up real good, cook it with the lid off, and, it's just basically the last half hour of your 4-hour process. That's it. Once you've done that, you're ready to eat. And this is your final product, pork chile verde. It's delicious. It's amazing. You can have it with tacos, just put it with the tortillas, rice, beans, something like that. You can eat it on its own. You can put it in a burrito. You can make hash out of it. Have it with eggs in the morning. You've got a lot of it here, so you're going to find a lot of great uses. Whatever you don't use, you can always freeze. That's handy because this is a lot of food and you want to eat every last drop. But that's basically it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, leave me a comment, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.